Ladies and gents, welcome back to the 2021 season of F1, our 71st championship season here in F1. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to the next season of the Sunday Breakdown as we progress into this first race. Bahrain Grand Prix, it was a fun one. New drivers, new energy, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So guys, sit back, relax, and if you guys do enjoy, consider subscribing, consider leaving a like. It's free and it helps out a lot. Without any further ado, let's roll the intro. Alright, so to start off this season, we were graced with the presence of the Bahrain Grand Prix, a pretty fun circuit, a fast circuit, but of course it does have the memories of last year. So new season, new vibes. There's a lot of new drivers, 3 new drivers. In fact, you have Yuki Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin. Mick Schumacher, big name with Haas Ferrari, has his dad is Michael Schumacher, 7-time world championship. You know him. Nikita Mazepin, a very shady figure. I don't go into politics a lot. I don't go into the details about that. I do in the these lug nuts that's coming out, but I just don't know. I just don't know how I feel about him, and you guys can voice your comments or your opinions in the comments after we see how he performed and if you know anything about him as a person. But there was testing here, a short testing, and we really didn't know how the teams were performing because there was only one weekend of testing, which isn't a lot. But when you have world championships like Fernando Alonso come back, Seb in his new Aston Martin, you expect a lot of high hopes, a lot of good things from them, but that's not always the case, and we do see that this weekend. So let's start off with free practice 1, started in Friday, that is 2 Fridays ago, coming up on it now. So going back to the back of the grid, we have Nikita Mazepin, who put in a 134.9, almost 3.5 seconds off the first place practicer, which was Max Verstappen. So we had, in front of him was his teammate Mick Schumacher in the Haas. And before you say Mick is a great driver, which I completely agree with, and maybe Nikita Mazepin isn't, but they're both still at the back, nevertheless separated by 4/10. You do have to understand that Haas has basically thrown everything away for this year in the hopes of developing their car for next year, 2022, and that regulations. So we just do have to understand that and just keep that in mind when we see their race and see how they go. Although you can just juice a car like George Russell did last year, that might not just be the case with these young drivers, these young Padawans. I don't even watch Star Wars, but I think that's a reference. So going in 18th, you have Nicholas Latifi in his second year with his Williams 2.9 tenths off Verstappen. George Russell ahead of him in 17th with the 1.3412, 2 seconds off. And then you have the 3-time world champion Fernando Alonso in the Alpine Renault coming back and only in 16th place for his first free practice. Not a lot of, I mean, he's a great driver. Don't get me wrong, but coming back into sport where he's been out and absent for a long time just doesn't hurt. It does hurt your game. It doesn't help you at all. He's been in the racing scene since he's left, but it still does change. So I think he'll struggle this season, and hopefully he'll find his grips by the end and contend for some podiums. High hopes for him and the Alpine team, but let's see what they can do. And ahead of him is his teammate that I don't think he's ever raced with alongside, is Esteban Ocon in 15th place with 133.5. And then ahead of that, you have the newbie, the one that gets my likes. I think he'll be the most successful this year, and I think Mick will be the most successful next year. But it's Yuki Tsunoda. I believe that is how you pronounce his name, Yuki Tsunoda. I'm not 100% sure, but he's in 14th place with the 133.3. And then you have the two Aston Martins, new clean livery. I think I said that was my favorite livery of this year, and it is looking sleek. Hopefully they can perform top tier and get some points for their team. Lance Stroll in 13th and Seb in 12th. Seb, the world champion, he does a good job, and hopefully he can squeeze some points out with this team. Then you have the two Alfa Romeos going side by side, 11 and 10. Kimi Raikkonen, the world champion from Ferrari in Alfa Romeo this year, as he was in the past years, just never leaving the sport. Unlike Fernando Alonso, you never leave. Kimi's not going to leave us in 11th place. But then you have Antonio Giovinazzi in 10th place, setting a 132.7, 1.3 seconds off the first person, Max Verstappen. So that's how you get it. You get the 1.5s in the top 10. My boy Daniel Ricciardo in McLaren Mercedes. It's a totally different car. You see, he's raced for Renault, and that's the Renault engine. And then you race for, what was it? It was Renault or McLaren engine? I think it was a Renault engine. Renault engine. But then you race for McLaren that has a Mercedes engine. Very different vibe. But squeezing in the top 10 is very nice, just within a second. Max Verstappen, his old teammate Carlos Sainz in the new Ferrari, getting 8th place. Pierre Gasly in the top 10, very nicely within a second of Max Verstappen. And then you have Sergio Perez, his second teammate. You have Max, who is the Red Bull driver, and then since Albon's out, I'm gonna say Sergio Perez is almost like the he's finishing off that third AlphaTauri seat. He has to get a nice race in before I can say that he's not part of that third AlphaTauri. So right there, he's third AlphaTauri behind Pierre, and Pierre did a good job this race, as we'll see. And I think that from his circumstances, he did well, and as Sergio Perez's circumstances, he did well. So he's proving himself not to be the third AlphaTauri member, but we'll need some races to settle that in. Charles Leclerc in 5th place. Lewis Hamilton in 4th place, and then you have Lando Norris squeezing out a nice finish in his new Mercedes engine within 0.5 of Max Verstappen. You have Valtteri Bottas in 2nd place, and Max Verstappen with that 131.394, which is very nice. Only 12 laps put in. You see the person with the most laps was corroborating my sources here. I believe it was a 23 with Pierre Gasly. Of course, Pierre had a rough season in the past 3 years. Seasons, plural. So he's just doing the most that he can to get back and trying to continue his seat and trying to move up. We don't know if he's going to stay with the Red Bull family or anything, but we have to hope that he does well. And he's coming in with the second most laps in FP2. First most will go to George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Hats off to them for trying to practice their a lot too. But we're moving into FP1, FP2, and Max Verstappen goes fastest again with a 130.8 this time. So a little bit faster, but nevertheless he is still on top. And then you go from back to the front. You have Nikita Mazepin squeezing out 2.6 seconds behind him. Nicholas Latifi, as I said, tied for most laps this free practice in 19th. Mick Schumacher getting ahead into 18th. Very nicely done there with 133.297. George Russell just ahead of him by a 1 second. So there's a 1 second gap between those two. Big time that he could have made up there. But we just don't know. Kimi in 16th place with a 131.8. So there is big space, almost 0.5 between those two, and then another second in between 17 and 18. So big gaps, but it is just free practice, and it's the beginning of the season. So you would never really know where that puts them. And you have 14 and 15. You have 6 world championships to their name. Oh wait, no. 3 plus 4 is 7. I'm good at math, guys. Don't get that wrong. Fernando Alonso in 15th, and then Seb in 14th, both in their new cars, new liveries, and looking very nice. But just within a second of the top finisher Max Verstappen, you have Antonio Giovinazzi going 13th, fastest, and then Charles Leclerc ahead of him, the two Ferrari brothers, very close within a tenth of each other, and not even making it into top 10 within 8 tenths, 7 tenths of the first place. Esteban Ocon in his new Alpine, he's finishing way ahead of Fernando Alonso. Obviously, he is more groomed. He has raced last year in a F1 car, so that might just be it. But missing out on the top 10 by almost 1/10, just barely getting there. Sergio Perez just squeezing in to the top 10 with his 131.5, and that is behind Pierre Gasly, showing his real true pace, raw pace and performance just in free practice too, ending the day off with the nice 131.483. Lance Stropolis with the 131.3. Yuki Tsunoda in 7th place ahead of his teammate Daniel Ricciardo. In 6th place, Valtteri Bottas in 5th, Carlos Sainz in 4th, and you see Sir Lewis Hamilton in 3rd place with the 131.082, where he should belong in the top 3, which is nice to see. But then you have Lando Norris squeezing out a lap. I don't know how he did it. 130.942, crazy lap there. The Max Verstappen finishing off the day with a 130.84, as we mentioned. Then you go into Saturday, the practice before you have qualifying, and everybody trying to get everything that they want to get done before that day. Max Verstappen goes fastest with a 130.57. Is it going to be like it was last year, where Valtteri Bottas came fastest in qualifying, or fastest in free practice, and then he just choked it during qualifying? I hope not, but we'll have to see how it goes this season. Going from the back now, you have Nicholas Latifi, Nikita Mazepin, Schumacher, Russell, Norris, Alonso, Seb, Yuki, Giovinazzi, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Stroll, Ocon, Raikkonen, Sainz, Perez, Bottas, Gasly, Hamilton, and Verstappen. It's surprising to see Gasly so far up and Daniel Ricciardo just squeezing into the top 10. I would have liked to see Yuki and Leclerc in the top 10 as well. But sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Lando Norris missing out in 16th place, very far back from where he was in the yesterday, Friday, free practice, but just shows how much you can change in one day, which is kind of crazy. Going on to the qualifying format here, Q1, Q2, Q3. Most people want to run softs. Most people want to run mediums. If you're being very bold, you have to be very bold. You have to put yourself out there just to run mediums, just to get through. But you do have George Russell getting into Q2 for continuous times. He's just crazy about that, which is very nice to see. But going back to Q1, you have the guys who got eliminated. 5 guys get eliminated each time, then until you go to the top 10 shootout in Q3. If you guys are new, that's how it works. But in 20th place, you have Nikita Mazepin with a 133.273. Almost a whole second off Mick Schumacher with a 132.449. That's crazy times. You have Seb with his 132.056. Surprising that he didn't get into Q2. I would have liked to see that. But then you also have Nicholas Latifi with a 131.938. And then you have Esteban Ocon with a 131.724. Almost 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds in between the 16th and 20th place. Just a very large spread gap there. But then you have George Russell and Kimi and Giovinazzi, who made it into Q2, which is very nice. George Russell misses out, though, with the 133.430. Just couldn't put it together like he could in the first practice. A little bit disappointing, but nevertheless very nice for him qualifying 15th. Kimi putting in a 131.2 in 14th place. Yuki with a 131.203, and then Giovinazzi with a 130.708. Sergio Perez rounds off Q2, cut out with a 130.659. Now, I would have liked to see Red Bull debut Sergio Perez to just make it into Q3 and beat out Lance Stroll. He was just 300ths off that. Very close indeed, but I would have liked to see him beat out Lance Stroll and just maybe make it into the top 10 shootout and qualify for some nice points there, and just the ability to have that coming into the race. But you do have the top 10 shootout, and it does get very feisty when you have a 128.9 as pole position now set by Max Verstappen. Very nice there. I have to give it to him. We weren't thinking that Red Bull would be fast. If you asked me this year, is Red Bull going to win, I would have been like, no. Lewis Hamilton has won every time. I would think Mercedes is going to dominate qualifying in the race. But that just really wasn't the thing. I just didn't know. But top 10 going down, you have Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso getting in the 9th place. Very nice from that man indeed. Carlos Sainz in front of him. You have Lando Norris, the two friends, Daniel Ricciardo in 6th place, Pierre Gasly in 5th place, Charles Leclerc 4th, Bottas in 3rd, Hamilton in 2nd, and Max Verstappen on that pole. It's very interesting. You do have a little bit of deja vu, I guess, when it comes back to those three on that podium places for the starting grid. But that's how it was. But you do have the starting grid, and you do have Seb, who was penalized 5 places for not respecting the double yellow flags during qualifying. They have very strict rules about that, and they have hunkered down with that stuff, which I find interesting. And it is just that. So he got moved back, and Nikita Mazepin not starting last on his F1 debut. How about that? That is pretty crazy. But now we move on to the race, and we're just going to be talking about what was going on in there. So, race results. For the race of the first season, I was actually thoroughly surprised. It was a fun one, but nevertheless, it was the first race, and we did have some unexpected collisions, unexpected driver placement, if that's the word for that. In the first few laps, it was a bit interesting. There was an extra formation lap because Sergio Perez got held up. Not a great way to start your day off with Red Bull, but as we see, he finished very nicely. So he had to start in the pits, and that's how it went for him. Nikita Mazepin on the first lap, turn 3, threw his car into the barrier. He was too fast on the throttle, which is a big challenge for these guys coming out of F2 with only a short amount of practice session. You had very short testing and then just a couple practice sessions before your first race. So not a great result from Nikita Mazepin, but it was alright. We have Fernando Alonso, who was able to go 32 laps before having a trash bag slow him down. Former world champion had a trash bag that he had to stop for the pits and retire from. Got into his brake, caused some issues, and brake failures, no joke in F1. So he had to take it in and ended his race there, his new debut. Nicholas Latifi had to go out on lap 51 along with Pierre Gasly on lap 52. There was some good racing, though. It was very, very good racing. You had the two front runners that were about Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. They were fighting for the whole time. There was one issue that I think everybody was partial towards Hamilton being a world champion, was turn 4. You were able to go wide there, and Max Verstappen had to concede his position, his race-winning position, I would say, that was not as great, and I was a little bit disappointed. We did have some spins. We had Mick Schumacher spin. Gasly lost his front wing, but then later retired, and it was Vettel and Ocon also had a spin. It was a fun race. You know, you saw these guys race their hardest, and you saw where they're going to be placed this year and how well they're going to do. So hopefully that'll be something that we can look at alongside going into tomorrow and this next race weekend. But I do hope we have a good race. So going in the DNFs, that's where I'll put it, is Nikita Mazepin, Fernando Alonso, Nicholas Latifi, and Pierre Gasly. Going into 16th, then you could be 16th first. That's where you have our finishers. Mick Schumacher with his Haas debut in 16th place. Seb with this spin later in the round pushed him down to 15th place with his new Aston Martin. You have George Russell in 14th place. Esteban Ocon with another incident there in 13th. Giovinazzi in 12th place, and you have his teammate Kimi right above him. Lance Stroll in 10th place, scoring one pole for the Aston Martin. Very nice to see them up on the board. Yuki Tsunoda in 9th place. Very nice to see a rookie that is doing a strong job. I don't think he might not be the best rookie, but he's doing the strongest job for his team, and I like to see that. Very nicely done, outpacing his teammate Pierre Gasly, who has put in a lot of work, and I expect great things for him to come. This isn't a big tell of how the driver is going to be, but it is significant. So, big and significant, that's the same words, but I do think that you have to take some and then leave some with a grain of salt. So Yuki could be doing very well. Carlos Sainz in 8th place, and then you have Daniel Ricciardo in 7th place, where he belongs and where he's been forever, man. I've never seen this guy like 6, 7, 8 is where he stands most of the time. Not bad, but it's normal for him. So new team, new engine, and he's doing all right. Nice to see that. Charles Leclerc 6th place, and then Sergio Perez moving back from the grid. Very nice. I would say he was my driver of the day. Very nice, strong pace. Lando Norris also a competitor for driver of the day. Very nice in 4th place. The 4 number for the 4th place. Very nice with 12 points for his team. The McLaren did relatively well this weekend. Very nice to see them putting points up on the board. Max Verstappen scoring very well in 2nd place. If he had not had that penalty and had not conceded, I think he would have won the race and started off strong. So hopefully we can see a good championship battle from him. And then you have Lewis Hamilton, our 7-time world championship. I think he's loved by many, and he is on 1st place. Didn't start pole, but he will start 1st place. The driver championship is looking how it was in the race, because you have Lewis Hamilton on top, and you only have one race. As for the Constructors Championship, of course, Mercedes is on top. Red Bull is 2nd. McLaren, Mercedes getting in 3rd place with that 16 and 12 and 6. I think 12 and 6 was the points, but nice points finishes from them. We love to see AlphaTauri with 2 points and Aston Martin with 1. Ferrari is 4th. I think that they could be in that back runners this time. I think that they'll be doing well. I don't know how well, but hopefully my driver standings will hold up this year. I really have no idea, but that's that, guys. The Sunday breakdown for the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like on the video. Consider subscribing, guys. Hope you guys have a good day. Until next time, peace.